Black women do not have a problem with the passport bros. What we have a problem with is on black women as a reason to go over to take advantage of women who are not financially stable. You're going over there to find somebody who's going to treat you like a king in all your mediocrity. Don't blame us for that.
I gotta go off of what I've seen. They cater to you to a T. I know someone that has married someone and brought her over here. It looks like she's out of magazine.
She would be a model over here, right? Do you think if she was born in America, she would be with him?
No, she would not be with him.
Do you know why? Because they're poor. Y'all are taking advantage of these women, blaming us. Black women are this, black women are that, as if we're causing you to take advantage of these women. Leave us.
Hello YouTube, it's your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, coming at you again with another YouTube video. The title of this video is called Passport Bros is the He-Man Dating Haters Club, suggests radio host. The way this video came about was, as I was watching various videos, this clip came about that I wanted to discuss, that I shared with you at the beginning of this video. In this video, the aspiring radio host had a lot of pushback on the Passport Bros, and I wanted to debunk some of her talking points. First off, she stated that she has no problem, she has no problem with us going overseas and dating foreign women. She just feels like we constantly drag, in this specific case, black women into a lot of discussions, and we try to do it as a way, almost like a revenge type tactic against them. And she just feels like we need to leave, like American women out of the whole conversation and all that kind of thing. So this has been stated before in the past, and I just want to address that by saying this. Well, first off, the whole reason the Passport Bro movement actually blown up is, if you remember from the beginning, a lot of the Passport Bros were just sharing their experiences and their travels. We had, we're just sharing our experiences and our travels and showing, some of the women we were dating, some of the women that some of the bros had married and so forth. And a lot of women in the West, they felt some kind of way. So what they started doing was they got on TikTok. They put all these anti-Passport Bro videos out, and they were just constantly attacking us back and forth, back and forth. And it just made the movement grow even more. It just made it grow like fire. So on the contrary, it actually wasn't us pulling them into this whole situation. They actually tried to force their way into our movement. As you see now, you see several, I guess we would call them passport sisters, following us to Thailand, following us to Colombia. So wherever we're going now, they're following us. They're trying to figure out what we're doing in these other countries. You had, Western women coming out to Brazil saying, why don't you guys, want to date, why don't you guys date a lot of the women in the States, and saying things like they're going to discourage the women there and tell them about us, as if, pretty much to say that, the only reason they like you guys because they don't know who you guys really are back in the States, that you guys are, as they always try to say, like you guys are just losers back home and all this stuff like that. That's kind of like their whole spiel, is that these women are just so uneducated that they don't know what they're getting themselves into. We're taking advantage of them. They're all naive, as if these other countries don't have YouTube. With the exception of maybe China, most of these other countries, they have YouTube. They can see what they have. YouTube, they have the news, they have television. While there might be some parts of their countries where they're not as developed, but you can find women in Brazil that live in Amazon, women in Cuba where they may only make about $50 a month, and they have cell phones where they can watch some of this stuff. So it's not like it's completely hidden from them. They can see what's going on. Not to mention that a lot of them have relatives that have, migrated to the States or the West. So they already are aware of all the stuff that's going on. None of this is completely blinding them. In fact, there's lots of videos now circulating, even in like Colombia, where some of them are aware of the Passport Bros. You had women in Thailand and Philippines actually reaching out to the Passport Bros and saying, hey, come to our country, we're looking forward to you. So they're very, very educated and aware of the Passport Bros and our situations. And a lot of them are welcome. They're looking forward to take American men and Western men from the UK, Australia. They're willing to take these men off your hand. So they're very much aware of what's going on. So you have that. So again, it has nothing to do with them, being uneducated. And again, the only reason that we have these little, I guess you can call them quote unquote clapback videos of a lot of these women, such as my video, is because generally, as you can see, they all day bashing us. Bashing us, trying to find reasons, always trying to accuse us of something, find out, because they know that, that a lot of them, their plan B has moved on. They're kind of stuck with the men that are there. As you know, there's a study that said 45% of women will be single and childless. I think between the ages of like 18, I believe it might have been about 42, from like 18 to 42. By 2030, 50% of them, about 50%, will be childless and single, which means that a lot of these women are aging out. They're not finding their Brad, Chad, or Tyrone, or even the ones that date Pookie and Ray Ray. Pookie and Ray Ray is not wifing them up. He's not, he's not being a family man with them. So what are they doing? They're waiting for this perfect Chad, Brad, Leonardo DiCaprio, Denzel Washington type guy to appear who's just going to marry them. And it's just not happening, which means a lot of those women are going to wind up just being cat women for the most part. A lot of them are going to wind up being cat women, or what they're going to do is when they get about 34, 35, they're going to find the as they would call them, an orbiter, like one of the guys that are kind of like in their friend zone. They're going to find some guy in their friend zone. They're going to try to marry that guy. And as we know, the divorce rate, when it comes to divorce, I believe they were saying 70% of women initiate divorce. This is one of the reasons why, because a lot of them wind up aging out, and they wind up marrying a guy who they didn't really want to marry. So then when they marry the guy, and then he reminds them of like, put his way, to some degree, he kind of reminds them of their failure, because they feel like I in their mind, I had all these guys when I was younger, but now I don't have to. I pretty much, in their mind, they feel like they're settling, even though they're not, because a lot of these, we got a lot of great guys in the States, but they feel like in their mind they're settling. Even though, as I said before, Chad, Brad, Poogie, and Ray are not choosing them. They just have a very inflated, sense of themselves. And in many cases, they all, for the reason, even the women who are 3s and 4s seem to think they're 10s when they're not. The difference is, men, we have a very, we're very reasonable, and we're very reasonable. We tend to be very humble when we're evaluating ourselves as far as what we can actually obtain. But these women, for some reason, they just feel like, if I can't have the perfect one, I don't want to deal with anybody, and then some of them, what they do, like I said, they get in their 30s, they get a little lonely and weak, and then they just say, okay, well, I'll just marry one of these orbiters. And the whole time that this orbiter is dating her, I can assure you that the guy is getting emotionally, taken advantage of. Like, she's tearing him apart emotionally, physically, probably not even being intimate with him, avoiding that. Just kind of has him there to raise the kids, and just so she can check off a box and say she was married. But she never really wanted to settle down with him to begin with, for the most part. In her mind, she always felt like she could do better. I.e., you have what's the woman's name? Corey Harvick and Tia Mowry. Same thing with her. In her mind, she felt like she can do better. She should have done better. She's thinking about all these orbiters she had when she was younger. So what did she do? She wound up breaking up the family, leaving, even though he really, really wanted to be with her. And he's a great guy. I mean, most women would say he's handsome. He has money. He's well established. But for some reason in their mind, a lot of these modern women, they just feel like, they're never satisfied. I put it that way. So she wound up breaking up. But now look at her now. Now she's struggling out in the streets. She's lonely. And everyone can see she clearly wishes that she didn't make this mistake. So that being said, in many cases, the issue is not in the States. It has nothing to do with men are not the ones that have the issue of the high standards. It's the women. So all we can do is go overseas, find another country where we're appreciated, and just go there. Now, to address her quote unquote gotcha moment, and what she says to the guy was trying to defend the passport bros, and he was saying, hey, but I met a guy who was a passport bro. He brought the one back here. She caters to him to a T, which is true. And he says, so I can understand why they would do that. And then her reply is, this is supposed to be her gotcha moment. She says, well, yeah, that model-like woman, if she was here in the States, would she be with him? And the guy says, no, you're right. That's supposed to be a gotcha moment. But here's a question. Okay, so let's go with that logic. Okay, yeah. So if that woman was born here under all this foolishness and propaganda that's put out, as far as like all this devaluing of the man in the States, of course she might think like that. But the question is, to that same radio host woman, what we should have asked her was, okay, but if we took you and threw you in that woman's country, would you act the way you act towards passport bros? or to any man in general, or to even to the man you just answered? The answer is no. She would be just like the other women there, catering to her man, building a family, accepting her role as the woman in the house and let her man be the man of the house. That's what she will be doing. So and let's talk about that. What is the difference in the culture? It's a lot of things. As we said before, the main reason why that woman that he was talking about that has the Pastor Rose's wife, why she wouldn't be that way if she was in the state is quite obvious. Because most women in the state are married to Uncle Sam. And the women who are not married, their boyfriend is Uncle Sam. You say, how so? You have about at least 40 something different programs that are set up for women, not just, welfare. You got EBT. They got programs where if the woman, they got, women's shelter. If there's even laws where if the woman is, I believe she has, if she's pregnant and she's getting evicted, you can't evict the woman. Stuff like, you have all these programs trying to make sure that we have enough women in engineering, all these little propped up programs to make sure that the women succeed. And all that really does is devalue men. It makes the women feel like they don't really need men. Keep in mind, we have so much government intervention to stop things such as, we have huge tornadoes swarming the coast of like Florida, the eastern part. Whenever it's like there's wildfires in California, we got bills and money set up to take care of that. Versus over countries like in Indonesia, when they had that tsunami, they didn't have money to really set up and prepare for that. Look at the devastation that it caused their country. So when it caused that kind of devastation, who at that point, since all your electrical grids are down, nothing's functioning. At this point, you're back in the I'm not gonna say in the Stone Age, but I mean, you really at this point you're gonna really need a man because you're gonna need to survive. You're gonna need somebody to gather food for you. You're back in the hunter-gatherer stage at that point. And you think a woman gonna be there setting up tents, chopping up firewood, gathering food, going out hunting? No, you're gonna need a man at that point. It's just here in the West because you've been so privileged and our country has been so protected for any type of wars. Think about over in like Afghanistan where people getting blown up left and right. There's no real type of order there. You need someone to set order, which is where the men, this is where women can really appreciate having a man in their life. You don't see it in the United States because you live in air-conditioned conditions. But the United States is not majority of the world. Majority of the world doesn't live in the United States. They have this thing where they think that the standard of the United States should be the standard everywhere else. The only reason the standard is the standard of the United States is because we have money to back us. Most countries don't have that kind of money. So actually, we are the anomaly to how other countries live. This is not the true way most countries live. In most countries, you have to be cohesive and work together because there's not a lot of resources and funding. And a lot of these countries are undeveloped. That's what she's not understanding. So, of course, in those countries, that's why the women are going to be submissive to the man because they see the value of a man. Versus here, Uncle Sam takes care of everything. But keep this in mind. If any of these programs start to disintegrate, as they are, as you see, they're doing things like they're taking away food stamp benefits. They're doing things like getting rid of Section 8 housing. It's very hard to find housing now. You got all these women on TikTok who have houses and student debt complaining about it's too much now. They want to get back under their man. And you see that inflation is kicking everybody's behind. Imagine if 10 more years of this. Imagine 10 more years of this. A lot of those women, even that woman, I feel that she's going to have a huge change in her mentality. She's going to view men a whole lot different if that was to happen. So it's really just these programs propping that up. But sooner or later, when we start running out of money and we can't really support the stuff anymore, as you're starting to see that we cannot, because there's a huge amount of people waiting on Section 8. And actually, there was TikTok videos of women getting evicted who were on Section 8, but they couldn't pay I think it was like $70 a month, and they wound up getting evicted. Let that keep happening over like a 10-year period. A lot of these women will stop saying this, I don't need a man, and y'all just go over there to manipulate women. No, those women are in the fire. They see the value of men. So when they get over here, they know how to take, when they get over here, they're not trying to be on, they're not trying to go on girls trips and be boss babes. Because they value family before they value careers. In fact, as I put in a lot of my videos, there was a study done by AP News where they said that when a foreign spouse was married to, when American was married to a foreign spouse, each of those marriages, 75% of them lasted more than 15 years. 75% of them. Versus in America, when you just married America, you got a 50% rate. And I think they said around 6 years is around the average. 6 years. So who from a probability standpoint, who will be better off marrying? That tells you that even when the women from other countries come here to the United States or in the West, whether it's UK or not, when they go to the West, they hold on to a lot of their traditional values because they understand the importance of men. Women here in the States, you're pretty much brainwashed all throughout school and all this anti-male type rhetoric where men are always trying to take advantage of you. And the little thing we're trying to do for you, that's us trying to enforce the patriarchy on you. All that kind of stuff is why a lot of what is the reason why 50% of women are losing. They're going to end up being single and childless and not going to have a husband. They're just going to age out and become aunties like Vivica Fox, who now is approaching 60, talking about now she wants to settle down. Do you see how she looked now versus how she looked back when she was in her 20s in her prime? It's like night and day. She don't even look almost like the same person. So, of course, yeah, if a woman from one of those countries was born up here with all this propaganda put out about men, and supported by the state, of course she's gonna feel like she don't need men. Of course she's gonna look at the a lot of men now say they ain't nothing and be sitting around waiting for Denzel Washington or Leonardo DiCaprio. Of course she's gonna be doing that. Versus if she's in another country where you don't have this propaganda out, and even if you do have the propaganda, the reality is so harsh, the reality is so humbling to women that they see with their own eyes the value of men. So for that reason, they support their man. They enjoy being with their man. They support their man. They understand the value of him, how much they need him. So in those countries, the men are the prize, as they should be here. It's just that the women here are blinded by propaganda, and the state is propping them up. But you remove that prop. Even in spite of that propaganda, you're going to see a whole change in a lot of women. You even see women now talking about how they've been brainwashed by, all the propaganda in the West, and how they're trying to change, become trad wives and that kind of thing, because they see that the way they're going is not winning. They see those women are not winning. All we've been asking is that a lot of women who unfortunately wind up aging out, why don't they kick game to the younger women and let them know, like, hey, this is not the path you want to go. You want to take care of your man and support him. Why don't you go on that path? But they don't want to do that. So that being said, I think I ripped her to shreds enough. And I said, about, as much as I really need to say to kind of really get into, to dismantle her argument. But you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. What do you think about what she's saying? Do you think that we're pretty much like the He-Man Dating Haters Club, in which we're still bitter about the women in the States, and we basically are just going over there just to get back at them, which is further from the truth. We're trying to live our best lives and just move on. I mean, like Dennis Spurlin said, Pookie and Ray Ray won. I'll say that. In the West, Pookie and Ray Ray and Chad and Brad, they won. They can have y'all. They won. We're moving on to greener pasture. Again, we're playing basketball. We're in the NBA, and our team loses the championship. Okay, we took our L. We lost the championship. But we're not going to sit there and be sitting around, like Dennis Spurlin said, shooting three-pointers and still practicing. The game is over. I mean, they made their choice. They made their choice that they want to age out in hopes of finding the Pookie and Ray Ray, who's also a businessman, or finding their Chad and Tyrone's. We come to that conclusion that that's what majority of them want to do. At least 50% of them want to do that. So for us to go through this 50% pickings and the high standards, in many cases, not just worth it. It's better just to move on. That's what we've done. That's all this has been about, is just displaying how, just us advertising to a lot of men in the States who are going through the same situation. Let them know, like, hey, if you're struggling with dating, it has nothing to do with you. It has all to do with the way that the dating scene is set up in America. Why deal with that when you can just go overseas, have a woman that respects you, who actually values you? That's all we're saying. And we're just displaying our lifestyle or showing it to other men, because we know that the other men will be interested in this, and we know there's a lot of men who are suffering who don't know about this. There was a time when I didn't know about traveling and about foreign women. So all we're trying to do is educate a lot of men in the West that, hey, you do have options. Don't listen to all this propaganda put out, and don't be and don't force yourself to be a woman's plan B, unless that's what you want to do. You just, whatever reason you meet a woman, you just really like her, but don't settle and just force yourself to do that. You do have options. That's what this whole Passport Bro movement is about, to let men know that they have options, and to share information about that, and share, tips and tricks and that kind of thing. So that's what we're doing here. And on that note, to all my ghost listeners who have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up, please share the video, hit the notification bell so you know when my next videos are coming out. I have a lot of content that I want to share. I thank you all for watching the video. And again, this is your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, signing off.
Dear Passport Boys, Dear Passport Bros, stop calling yourself Passport Boys and Passport Bros. Are you going to the Philippines to look for a Filipina queen or what? So stop calling yourself Passport Boys and Passport Bros. Start calling yourself Passport Kings.